Imagine a history of Saturday Night Live told not through its punchlines, but through its pauses. Not through its sketches, but through the sounds that filled the spaces between them. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years of SNL music offers precisely this counter-narrative, shifting our focus from the foreground of comedy to the rich, resonant background score of a half-century. The film immediately establishes its thesis. Music on SNL was never merely entertainment. It was atmosphere, punctuation, and often the show's most honest emotional register. From the cold open to the good nights, sound shaped the experience in ways the writing alone never could. To understand this perspective, we must consider the production context often overlooked. The documentary reveals that the show's original music director, Howard Shore, was a founding member of the show's repertory company, appearing on camera. This wasn't a hired hand in a booth. Music was integrated into the show's DNA from its chaotic, experimental birth in 1975. The film unearths crucial trivia. The famous theme, composed by Shore, was initially a last-minute placeholder. Its enduring, melancholic trumpet line, a sound now synonymous with live television anticipation, was almost an accident. This speaks to SNL's alchemy. Its most iconic elements often emerged from necessity and collaborative improvisation, not grand design. We see this again with the musical guest paradigm. The documentary posits that booking musicians like Paul Simon or Frank Zappa in the first season wasn't just about ratings. It was a statement of cultural alignment. The show was staking its identity in the world of New York's avant-garde rock and folk scene, borrowing credibility and cool. This relationship evolved into a complex symbiosis. For artists, SNL became the ultimate pressure cooker, a single live take before a national audience. The film's archival footage captures the palpable tension and raw energy of these performances, from Elvis Costello's infamous Radio switcheroo to a visibly nervous Billie Eilish decades later. But the documentary's most profound analysis lies in the interstitial music, the cues under sketches, the bumpers going to commercial, the work of band leaders like G.E. Smith. Here, music functioned as an emotional translator. A dramatic sting could heighten absurdity. A smooth jazz riff could ironically comment on a corporate parody. The film argues that the house band, often framed as background, was the show's steady heartbeat. Through political scandals, cast upheavals, and cultural shifts, that band kept playing. Their consistency provided a sonic anchor, a ritualistic comfort amidst the weekly chaos. They were the constant in the variable equation. Thematically, ladies and gentlemen, 50 years of SNL music explores how the show's soundtrack mirrored America's changing cultural mood. The punk aggression of the 1970s gave way to the polished pop of the 80s, the alternative angst of the 90s, and the fragmented digital landscape of the 2000s. The stage reflected the nation's sonic identity. Intimate interviews with crew members reveal another layer: the sheer logistical ballet of the musical segments. Coordinating a full band's load-in, sound check, and performance within the brutal time constraints of a live 90-minute show was a feat of television engineering. This behind-the-scenes struggle added a layer of genuine risk to every performance. The documentary also highlights moments where music and comedy fused inseparably. Consider the Blues Brothers. What began as a musical bit became a cultural phenomenon, demonstrating how SNL could launch legitimate music careers. It blurred the line between sketch character and recording artist, expanding the show's creative territory. Conversely, the film examines solemn musical moments that granted the show gravity. The performance following 9/11's, with Paul Simon singing "The Boxer," provided a space for collective mourning that comedy could not. In these instances, the music carried the emotional weight the nation was feeling, proving SNL's role as a cultural town square. As the documentary progresses into the modern era, it confronts the digital transformation. The rise of YouTube and streaming fragmented the experience. A musical performance could now live on detached from its original context, becoming its own viral entity. This changed the calculus for both artists and the show. Yet, through all this change, the film identifies a through-line: intimacy. The SNL stage, for all its size, creates a rare proximity. The documentary's close-up footage emphasizes this: the sweat, the eye contact, the unedited moments between songs. This intimacy fostered legendary, raw performances that studio albums often couldn't capture. In its concluding movements, the documentary suggests that SNL's musical legacy is one of curated collision. It placed folk singers next to punk rockers, hip-hop pioneers, next to country legends, often on the same night. This wasn't just eclectic booking. It was a weekly argument for a broad, inclusive American soundscape. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, 50 years of SNL music ultimately achieves something remarkable. It allows us to hear the show anew. The laughter becomes the accompaniment, and the music moves to the forefront as the true narrative engine. A chronicle of taste, tension, and time captured in melody and rhythm. The film concludes not with a punchline, but with a resonance. It posits that while sketches date and political humor becomes historical footnote, the music retains its emotional power. The final goodnight song, performed by the cast each week, is the documentary's ultimate metaphor, a moment of genuine unscripted harmony after an hour of controlled chaos. We are left with an understanding that SNL's secret language wasn't its catchphrases, but its chords. Its most enduring legacy may not be the jokes we remember, but the feeling we got when the band hit that first note, bridging the gap between our world and the one being created live, right before our ears. Thank you for watching until the end. We pour our passion into every single video essay, exploring the stories behind the movies we all love. If you stumbled upon this video by chance, there is a very high probability you might never see our channel again in your feed. So please take a moment to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and ring the bell. We are actively growing this community of cinema lovers, and your support is what helps us make our content better and more insightful every single day. Let's explore the magic of filmmaking together. See you in the next one.